The Holy Gospel according to St. Luke, the 17th chapter. On the way to Jerusalem, Jesus was going through the region between Samaria and Galilee. As he entered a village, 10 lepers approached him. Keeping their distance, they called out, saying, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." When he saw them, he said to them, "Go and show yourselves to the priests." And as they went, they were made clean. Then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice. He prostrated himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him, and he was a Samaritan. Then Jesus asked, "Were not 10 made clean? But the other 9, where are they? Was none of them found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner?" Then he said to him, "Get up and go on your way. Your faith has made you well." This is the gospel of the Lord.
Praise you, O Christ.
Please be seated. A few weeks ago, I was sitting and having lunch at Jersey Mike's. Really good sandwiches. I gave up on Subway a few years ago. So I was sitting there, and I was dressed as a pastor, and I was reading the paper on my phone, when a woman came up to me and said, "Thank you for your service." I was stunned so much that I at first didn't really acknowledge or recognize what she had said. And when I finally played it through again in my head, by the time I had realized what she had said, she had already walked away. Now, it's not that I haven't been thanked before for being a pastor, but I can't remember a time when I've been thanked by a complete stranger who hasn't been part of my church and hasn't been somebody I ministered to. So this was something completely out of the blue, and I was shocked by it. Acts of gratitude, simple giving thanks, seems to be a dying art in our culture and our society today. On the rare occasion that you get a handwritten thank you note anymore, aren't you pretty surprised by it, pretty shocked by it? Do you want to frame it and put it on the refrigerator and just leave it there for people saying, "Oh, look, I got a thank you note as a result of it"? And how about simple grace and manners like please and thank you? That seems to be rare, and it seems like our children aren't really being taught that much anymore. And just acts of appreciation, like this woman coming up to me out of the blue in a strange restaurant to say thank you, just doesn't happen very often. And I think there's a variety of different reasons that have contributed to this loss of graciousness and thanksgiving that takes place in our society today. But I think the primary culprit of this lack of appreciation that we're realizing and we're seeing around us is this sense of entitlement that seems to be growing among people today. And I think one of the primary reasons for this is what we see on pretty much a regular basis. It's all about me in a lot of ways, right? The self and the selfie is a symptom of what's going on. I mean, when was the last time you held the door for somebody when they were coming into a strange place and they said thank you to you? More often than not, they don't say anything. It's almost like they're graciously recognizing their presence with you, and you should be thankful for letting them walk in front of you, right? And then we have this all the time going on in driving, right? People have this sense of entitlement. I'm just going to come in front of you even though I didn't plan ahead, or you're waiting for them to move because they're scrolling through their phone. And there's been a crisis among college grads as of late. Many a college grad thinks that they're going to come out and they're going to get a high-paying job at the corner office, only to be shocked when they're still living with mommy and daddy. The idea of paying your dues or working your way up the ladder, that seems to be going out the window also. And the government is no help with this. We have entitlement programs that are part of what we expect as American citizens, and we talk about the entitlement programs all the time, but I don't hear us talking much about how we're going to keep paying for the entitlement programs. And much of the controversy and conflict going on among candidates nowadays is this concept of taking away from those who have a lot and giving it to those who have less, because those who have less are entitled to those who have more. And so this audacity of entitlement, this sense that it should be ours, even if we don't deserve it, has caused us to lose sight of the things that we should be thankful for, and to lack appreciation for those things that come to us undeserved, those things that are just a blessing and a gift. And lest we be surprised by this, or think that this is anything new, our scripture readings today come along and give us two stories about entitlement and thankfulness. The first one's the Old Testament lesson about Naaman. Naaman is this army commander who has leprosy. And his friends come to him and tell him there is a way you can get healed of your leprosy. Now remember, leprosy was a terribly painful, debilitating skin disease that when it got so bad, you were separated from the rest of society and regular people. You probably had to live off in a leper colony when it got really bad. This is what Naaman was dealing with. Yet when he's told by the prophet Elisha what to do, he has the audacity to get angry and upset because it doesn't seem to be fancy enough, or what he expected it to be in order to get the healing that he wanted for his leprosy. But fortunately for Naaman, God didn't give up on him. And once Naaman came to his senses and did what he was told, Naaman was healed of his leprosy, and he had a new lease on life. In the gospel lesson, we hear about the 10 lepers who cry out to Jesus, "Lord, have mercy on us, heal us." Others who are, again, separated from normal living and an easy lifestyle. But it's just the one, the Samaritan. Samaritans and Jews, Jesus being a Jew, were bitter, hated enemies. So it's the enemy who comes back and gives thanks for this new lease on life that he had just received by Jesus' healing. The other 9, the text doesn't tell us why they didn't come back, but the assumption can be made by Jesus' response to the Samaritan when he said that his ability to give thanks was indicative of a healthy faith, implies that the other 9 and their unwillingness to come back and give thanks was a spiritual problem, was that there was something not quite right with their heart. And see, that's part of the point that Jesus is making us today. That when things are right with God, when we're focusing on God and we have God's presence in our lives, it helps us to be thankful. It helps us to see the things that we receive undeservedly, the things by which we are blessed. And I think it's good for us, especially today, to ask the question of who are we in the scripture readings. It's good for us maybe to do a self-check to see if we have an attitude of entitlement. In other words, do we often find ourselves putting our own needs before the needs of others? Do we think that what others have, that we deserve too? Do we find ourselves getting angry or complaining when we don't think we've gotten fairly what we deserve? And do we find ourselves sometimes feeling like a victim of other people's unfairness? Remember what Jesus said to the Samaritan who came back and gave thanks. Your faith has made you well. The condition of our hearts and our gratitude and appreciation is a sign of the health of our faith and our life with God. Now, the word audacity has 2 meanings to it. The primary meaning, the one which we've been referring to today, is that it's a rude or a disrespectful behavior. But audacity can also be a willingness to take a bold risk. It was Jesus' audacity to journey to the cross for you and me that has given us much to be thankful for. Jesus' willingness to have a gracious heart, to put the needs of others, all of us, and creation before himself, has given us so many undeserved blessings, so many gifts that makes our lives easier. And And it's that audacity of Jesus that continues to be merciful and generous to us, even when sometimes we have this sense of entitlement. Just remember Naaman in the Old Testament lesson. Even when Naaman had his little tantrum of entitlement, God was still patient and merciful with him. And in the same way, that's the patience and mercy by which God approaches us. And for that, we have much to be thankful. Amen.